oneself to be perfect is often the sign of a delusional mind. Small words from a small being trying to attack what he doesn't understand.
Hello. Howdy, howdy. Time for a little more Umineko. Little more Umineko no Naku Koroni. Once again, not going to be a super long stream, but we'll bing bong, let's get to it, you know. Anata. Battler today for sure. The quest for Battler. We'll get there. We'll find him. He's lost. He must be found. Only we can save him. Hold on 1 second, sorry. Okay, let's get to it. Natsui says deer. Grouse responds. Oh, sorry. Oh, wait, is she still talking? Is it still Jessica? No, Grouse.
なんでもない。考え事をするのにここが少し心地よかっただけだ。
今日の準備はすべて手配が終わっています。あとはお茶でも飲みながらくつろいで待とうではありませんか。
Hello, Yomi. How are you?
すまん。君にいつも面倒なことをすべて押し付けている。
どうか私をもっと頼ってはいただけませんか。私はあなたの妻です。
無論君にはいつも助けられているし感謝もしている。だからこそ私は私の仕事に専念できる。
Glad to not miss the stream this time. Hey, it's good to have you. Been watching the VODs. Nice, nice.
わかっています。
It's funny whenever I upload VODs to the VOD channel, right? And most VODs get like no views. Like they'll get like maybe a couple handful. Over time they might have 10, 20, whatever. Understood. Umineko though, it's like obviously don't have a lot of views at all, but they noticeably have more. It's funny.
お仕事のこと、そしてお父様の遺産の話ですね。
君には関係のないことだ。欲深な兄弟たちの腐肉の漁り合いに過ぎ。
大丈夫です。あなた、すべてうまくいきます。あなたのお仕事がうまくいかなかったことはありません。
Natsui softly cuddled close to Krause's shoulder. She complimented Krause on his hard work, but Natsui knew better than anyone that his work wasn't going well. Krause's project was something like a seesaw where a large amount of money swings. Big investments can lead to massive payoffs, but like large seesaws, they tend to shake a lot while moving very slowly, instead of showing immediate results. At times, it's possible to make further investments, so that the seesaw inclines faster towards the side you want. Of course, you'd only do that if you were confident you'd be able to recover all your investments in the not-so-distant future. However, the seesaws Krause chose never turned out as he would have liked them to. His foresight wasn't wrong. Times were moving sluggishly. They never managed to catch up with him. For example, think of a literal seesaw placed in a park. It's a really popular item, so there's always someone playing on it. And if you got to wait a long time for your turn, say that one day you spotted, and you gotta wait a long time for your turn. Let's say that one day you spotted one of those seesaws that was completely unused, and you raced to grab it first and have it all to yourself. However, unless someone got on the opposite side of the seesaw, you wouldn't be able to play on it. What if lots of time passed and nobody came to the opposite side? Seesaws are popular, so if you wait long enough, a companion will surely show up. Kraus noticed something. The weather's getting worse, but nobody's coming outside to play. The seesaws are popular, so someone will surely come eventually. If he vacated his place because of the worsening weather, it would certainly be snatched away. And once again, he'd end up longingly gazing from a distance at someone else having fun on the seesaw. On one side of the seesaw, he continued to wait patiently all alone. That was Kraus's project, and his current situation. So surely art exists of Kraus, like adult Kraus, in a playground, like waiting on a seesaw, with like parents like saying, "Honey, don't go near that man," right? Like that exists, right? Or like Kraus waiting on that one end of a seesaw in the rain, like in the pouring rain, like that exists, right? Also, hello, Shadow. Was everyone stramming at the same time? I now have 4 streams open. It's just, it's a good day for it. It's a Saturday, you know? Most people probably had off today. I didn't, but you know. We move forward despite that.
いつだって失敗はしなかった。
ええ、そうです。あなたの先見性は、あなただけがお父様の才覚を受け継いだのです。他の兄弟たちが誰も受け継がなかった天性のものを受け継がれた。
Umineko has many a shitpost start. I mean, it's impossible not to, because it's just like the game just the game writes out the perfect shitpost for you. Especially after Joe, yeah.
なのに、私はそれを信じられず。
Oh, angry Kraus face.
いつも臆病に自らの事業を畳んできた。
Angry at himself.
なぜ自分を信じることができないのか。自分を信じられない男を誰が信じる。
Vulnerable Kraus.
誰も信じない。
Natsui believes in you.
私はいつも敗者の座るべき椅子に自ら座り、親父にもおふくろにも兄弟たちにも笑われる。私はいつになったらこのコンプレックスから解放されるのだ。いつになったら。
Natsui was the only one who knew. Only she knew of Kraus's anguish. As the eldest son of the Ushiromiya family, who would soon be forced to bear an immense responsibility, couldn't open his pained heart to anyone, and was always getting compared to his father's great enterprises.
あなたが親族会議に専念できるよう、すべての手配を済ませています。すべて。
すまん。親父殿の件は問題ないかね。
はい。源氏と南條先生は私たちの味方です。あの強欲な兄弟たちを決してお父様には合わせません。
もしもし。
Oh
はい、小原
shit!
です。
The king! Thank God. Oh, I can just die happy seeing his face. And his strange chin. Ugh. Wow, so much character though. So much more character stuff happening in this episode. It's great. Hello, Bunny Fs. Gosh, reading Umineko after finishing it is such a crazy experience. I bet it's pretty crazy. I mean, I'm only on episode 2 and I'm already thinking like I want to look at scenes from episode 1 again with a little more insight into these characters' hearts and brains, but we'll Have to wait a long time before I look at that again. Anyway. Goda, my king. They did you dirty.
お任せください。年に一度の大仕事に腕が鳴っております。
It'd be so fucking funny if he was the first to die again. It'd be so funny if like Battler and them showed up and on like the fucking docks where Goda was waiting last time, he's just his corpse stuffed in a barrel. He's just dead immediately. Goda will make it to the end this time, surely. We can only pray. In the kitchen, multicolored ingredients were gathered and the preliminary arrangements were promptly being started. Even though it was still morning, the ingredients for dinner were already in saucepans and steaming. Normally, he had to deal with several assorted matters. On the day of the family conference, he could devote himself entirely to cooking. Goda, who was originally a chef, in case you didn't know, this was surely the greatest gala? I don't know how to say that word, and I've always been embarrassed to admit it. Occasion of the whole year.
ディナーには子牛のステーキを。素晴らしい肉がすでに保冷庫で今夜を待ちわびておりますよ。まかないも今夜はぜひ期待してください。
Isn't he so precious? What a good person. It was rare for Goda to be in this good of a mood towards his fellow servant. Towards his fellow servants. Goda bragged about being the Ushiromiya family's personal chef, and knowing he was considered worthy to display his excellent cooking at the family conference was his greatest honor.
わかった。任せるのでよろしく頼む。あと、熊沢がそちらにいないか。
熊沢さんですか。先ほど見かけましたが、こちらにはおりません。ゲストハウスの方へ準備に行かれたのではないでしょうか。
また油を売っているのか。いや、結構だ。では引き続きよろしく頼む。万事、このゴーダにお任せを。
God, he is so embarrassing. Leave everything to me, Goda! That's crazy. Genji placed the telephone back on the receiver, sighing lightly. Genji sighed once again, thinking of Kumasawa, who was probably hiding again, even though things were this busy. And the ostentatious Goda, who only felt like doing anything on a day when he could show off.
失礼します。ゲストハウスの各お部屋の準備が整いました。
お嬢様より、お子様方が泊まれるよう、4人分の用意をするようにとのご指示を賜りましたが、いかが。
今年は6年ぶりにバトラ様がお見えになる。
Battler mentioned, it's like he's on screen.
お嬢様もいとこ4人で夜更かしをされたいのだろう。準備するように奥様にはお伝えしなくてよい。
そうですね。かしこまりました。
今夜は深夜勤で、そのまま明日は早朝勤か。
Is this also a new? Do we have another new canon portrait? I feel like I've never seen that one.
しんどい2日間になりそうだな。
そういえば、台風が直撃するって天気予報で言っていますね。大丈夫でしょうか。
台風がよほどそれない限り、場合によっては親族の皆様方のお帰りの船に親族会議の日程が月曜か火曜あたりまで長引くかもしれない。長丁場になるだろうが、皆くれぐれも粗相のないように頼む。シャノンは焦らぬよう落ち着いて、カノンは愛想よくご挨拶をするように。
はい。注意します。
注意します。
大切なお客様がお越しになられる日だ。くれぐれも粗相がないように。
心得ています。いつだって ここには大切なお客様しか訪れませんから。
カノン、今日は本当の意味で大切なお客様を迎える。
Genji.
心構えを改めるように。
はい。
シャノン、どうした？さっきから何かそわそわしているようだが、何か時間の。
Alright.
いえ、何でもありません。失礼いたしました。
姉さん、今日は大切なお客様がお越しになる日なんだよ。プライベートとは切り離すようにね。
プライベートなんか知りません。
As Shannon blushed just a bit, she turned her gaze away from the clock. Was it about time for the airplane carrying the family to arrive at Nijima? She tried to hide the fact that her upcoming, long-awaited reunion with George was making her heart race. Cannon, who stood beside her, seemed to see right through her. Oh shit! We're back!
シャノン、これを黙って受け取ってくれ。
Ah, this is cute. Inside the bathroom stall, George was practicing something over and over, taking out a small velvet box hidden in his pocket like a quick-draw desert gunman.
違うな。シャノンは牽引力のある男性が好きなんだ。
Does she?
もっと馬力がある感じじゃないとダメだ。シャノン、これを薬指につけるんだ。命令だよ。ああ、左手とちゃんと言わないと右手にされちゃうかもしれない。いや、シャノンもそこまでかまととじゃないけど。ああ、でも少しは自由意志がないとなんだかその。
As he crossed his arms, muttering, someone knocked on the door. George was snapped back to reality. Whoop, there goes gravity.
お、ジョージ君、大丈夫か？腹の調子でも悪いのか？
ルドルフおじさん、大丈夫です。平気です。ご心配は無用です。
そっか、ならいいんだけどな。無理して力みすぎるなよ。尻が切れちまうぜ。
Rudolph washed his hands, laughing cheerfully as he left. George, realizing that the most embarrassing part hadn't been overheard, relaxed and felt extremely relieved.
キリエ、ローザはまだ来ないのか？
まだよ。遅いわね。
天候調整中だからいいようなものを。これで普段通りのダイヤだったらあいつ乗り遅れちまうぜ。そしたらどうする気なんだあいつ。
ローザさんだっていい年の大人よ。なんとかするわ。兄って人はいくつになっても妹を子供扱いなのね。
親父だって
It's him!
いくつになっても子供だけどな。
He's here! He's here! We can end the stream now.
だと？俺が子供ならおめえは赤ん坊じゃねえか。ほれほれ、バトラちゃん、高い高い。
やめろ、くすぐって。やめ。
親子ってより悪ガキ仲間って感じね。ほら、いらしたわよ。
おおお、ローザさんやないか。マリアちゃん、久しぶりやの。
久しぶり。マリア、お久しぶりです。でしょ？言ってごらん。お久しぶりです。
Desu.
そうや、よく言えたな。ご褒美に飴玉あげような。あれ、どこにしまったんや。
ローザさん、お久しぶりです。
What?
マリアちゃんもお久しぶり。
ご無沙汰してます、キリエ姉さん、秀吉兄さん。あら、バトラ君？大きくなったわね。
いやー今日は会うたびに言われてて恥ずかしいっすよ。
おうローザ、遅かったな。飛行機がダイヤ通りだったらギリギリってとこだったぜ。
Okay, wait a minute.
ごめんなさい、列車の接続がうまくいかなくて。何？また天候調査中なの？
Wait, okay, wait a minute. I feel like...
ぼやかないぼやかない。船で6時間も揺られるくらいなら飛行機でほんの30分の方がずっとマシよ。たとえ1時間余計に待たされたって全然早いんだから。
あれがマリアなのか。大きくなったな。成長期か。
前に会ったのは6年前？それは変わるわよ。
Maria, noticing a big man she didn't recognize mixed in among the relatives, hid behind Rosa's back and glared at Battler.
おいバトラ、挨拶しろい。前にやったのが3歳の時じゃ。初対面も同じだぞ。
3歳じゃ覚えてねえよな。よ、マリア、久しぶり。大きくなったな。
Fun. Yep, sorry. As we were.
マリア、バトラお兄ちゃんよ。ルドルフおじさんの息子さん。わかる？おじさんの息子さんが、おじさんが息子さん。
So stupid. She was obviously on her guard. After all, it was hardly surprising that she'd be scared of a large guy like Battler suddenly started speaking frankly to her. Battler noticed that as well and thought of various ways he might approach her. Then he spotted the candy she had in her hand. It was the jack-o'-lantern sweet Rosa had bought for her.
そっか、10月だからハロウィンか。お菓子をくれなきゃいたずらしちゃうぞ。
Normally, trying to snatch a sweet away from a small child will result in them crying and screaming. The adults seemed dubious about Battler's tactics, but Maria looked unexpectedly pleased, her face splitting into a wide grin.
ハロウィン、ハロウィン。ほらママ、バトラもハロウィン知ってる。ほらほら。ほら、バトラお兄ちゃんと呼びなさい。ごめんね、バトラ君。
いやいや、気にしないっすよ。俺はバトラと呼んでくれ。俺もマリアって呼ぶからな。ほらマリア、ハロウィンだぞ。お菓子をくれなきゃいたずらしちゃうぞ。お菓子をくれなきゃいたずらしちゃうぞ。
Giggle. From inside her purse, Maria picked out a jack-o'-lantern sweet similar to the one she had in her hand and presented it to Battler. When Battler accepted it, that seemed to be enough to confirm their friendship. The adults were amazed at how good children can be at getting along with each other. Maria had been throwing a tantrum because she wanted a Halloween festival, so Battler, who knew about trick-or-treating, must have felt like an ally. Her defensive posture from before was completely gone. Now she was all cheery, as though they'd been friends for decades.
そうだな。日本じゃハロウィンってマイナーなイベントだよな。仮装行列で練り歩くなんて、向こうのニュースではよく見るけど、日本じゃ見たことないぜ。
マリアも仮装したかった。仮装していとこみんなでお菓子をくれなきゃいたずらしちゃうぞってやりたかった。
そっかそっか。今度俺と一緒にやろうな。マリアだったら何の仮装をして練り歩きたい？
A witch! The music cuts out.
魔女ベアトリーチェ。
What?
Oya, お嬢様、こんなところに。
Can you elaborate on that, Maria?
奥様が探しておいででしたよ。
探されたくねえからこんなところにいるんだぜ。どうせみなりは大丈夫かとか、言葉遣いをちゃんとするようにとか、お小言がいい。
違いありません。
私はさ、なぜか親族会議の日になるとこの魔女様が気になるんだよ。
ほう、それはまたどうしてでございましょう。
親族会議ってのはじい様に連なる全ての一族老頭が集まる日だ。今年は6年ぶりにバトラも来るそうじゃねえか。そんな感じでさ、何十年かぶりに今までずっと姿を現さなかった親族がひょっ
ほほう、そんな親族がおりますでしょうか。
ベアトリーチェ様だよ。素性は誰も知らない。あるいは大昔のじい様の愛人なのか、その子孫がひょっこりと現れて授けた黄金を返せなんて言い出すかもしれないぜ。
クラウス様たちは親方様の遺産問題で今年も議論されるでしょうから。こうも魔女の黄金の話で盛り上がっては、黄金を与えた魔女本人がそろそろおいでになってもおかしくありませんね。
熊沢さんはさ、辞めたり勤めたりと忙しいけど、現実さん並みに昔からここに出入りしてるわけでしょ。ベアトリーチェのこともっと知ってるんじゃないの？
さて、どうでしょう。思い出そうにもこの老いぼれ、今朝の朝食すらも思い出せませんので。
熊沢さんはいっつもそういう言い方で逃げるけど、何か知ってそうなんだよな。知ってて物陰で笑ってるみたいな陰湿な雰囲気が時々するぜ。
これは手厳しい。隠し事など何もしておりません。私から申し上げられることは、ベアトリーチェ様は黄金の魔女であられて、この島の夜。
じい様の受け売りかよ。給料もらってるとはいえ、じい様の妄言に付き合うのも大変だな。
ただこれだけは申し上げられます。
何？
六軒島は太古の昔、小豆島と呼ばれて恐れられてきました。
Oh, how terrifying and fearsome.
小豆は悪時期がなまったものと言われ、本当は悪時期島と呼ばれていたのだと漁民。
前にも聞いたよ。この辺は暗礁が多くて海難事故が多かったから、領民たちが恐れてむやみに近づかなかったって話だろ。
悪時期島には悪霊が住み着いていて、太古の昔から人々の魂を喰らい続けてきました。この島に関わり命を奪われた人間はあまりにも多いのです。
それを旅の修験者だかなんだかが例の社を作って
The traveling, whatever, who gives a shit. Different story every time.
うさんくせえ話だぜ。
その鎮魂の社はこの夏、暗き闇を引き裂く紫色の不気味な雷で打ち砕かれたとか。
熊沢さん、その話好きだな。確かに鎮魂の社が落雷でなくなっちまうなんて不気味だが、まあもともとオンボロだったしな。ちょっと高い波にでもさらわれたんじゃねえのかな。
Just spent about an hour scraping through the VODs for the end of episode 1. Apparently I never noticed you finished it. Yeah, I sure did, Phoenix. And here we are, in episode 2. How you doing, by the way?
眠りから目覚めた悪食島の悪霊がベアトリーチェ様を呼び寄せたのです。もしベアトリーチェ様が親族会議に訪れられるようなことがあったなら。
あったなら？
Umasawa fell silent for a moment. Jessica was pressing her to keep going, so that gap felt strange and eerie. When Kumasawa noticed that she had Jessica plenty scared with her silence, she grinned broadly.
はてさて、どんなことになるやら。
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Oh, you.
へえ、そいつは素敵じゃないかよ。
Phone.
でしょ？たまには優雅な時間を得て、あなたの心を豊かにするのも、あなたの仕事に役に立つんじゃないかしら。
Wait, where are we now? Wait, have we gone back again?
だな。心と財布は豊かじゃなきゃいけねえ。わかったよ。その日は開けておくことにする。予約を頼むぜ。
Making reservations. Making fun plans.
絶対よ。
ああ、よろしく頼む。愛してるぜ、キリエ。
Cute. After kissing the receiver, Rudolph hung up. Aw, he's adorable. He's cringe. For his seat, there were several executives with their sleeves rolled up, eagerly awaiting the end of that phone call.
すまん、待たせたぜ。
Yeah, funny.
アメリカから連絡は来たか？
はい。外線にデイル渡辺弁護士からです。おつなぎします。
結局のところ、感触。
それが一つ芳しくないようでして、先方は裁判をも辞さないつもりのようです。
やっぱりごまかしきれねえかな。繋いでくれ。
わかりました。すぐに。
The executive ordered that the external line be transferred to the secretarial office. At once, the phone in front of Rudolph rang.
もしもし。ハローハロー。お待たせしました。後ろ宮です。どうもどうも。いかがですか、そちらは。
Hello, President 後ろ宮。挨拶は抜きで本題に入りましょう。いいニュースと悪いニュースがありますが、どちらを先にしますか？
悪いニュースが先がいいな。デザートがないと頑張れないたちなんだ。
わかりました。悪いニュースは先方が当方を告発する準備に入ったということです。つい先日、類似した裁判で原告が圧勝する判決が出されました。被告側も当方が主張するのとほぼ同じ内容で論戦していたのですが、全てにおいて却下されました。残念ながらこのまま法廷に臨めば当方の主張はことごとく却下される可能性が極めて高いでしょう。
例の裁判、全滅だったか。うちより有利な条件だったと思ってたんだが、そりゃ辛いな。で、いいニュースは？
先方の幹部と接触できました。先方に当方の立ち位置を説明し、先方のブランドイメージを侵害する意図がないことを説明し、理解を得ることができました。先方は近日中に条件提示を行い、 それらの履行が行われるなら告発を見送ると約束しました。
感触は
取締役会のナンバー2による発言です。正直非常に厳しいものになると予想されます。当方の想定では避けられないものとして社名変更、ブランド名変更、交渉の余地のあるものとして若い金額、
うちに潰れろと一言言やいいのに、周りくどい奴らだぜ。
先方は近年2代目社長に交代したばかりで、まだ足固めが終わっていません。当方が徹底抗戦した場合、現社長に失点を与えたい勢力が何らかの利的工作をしかねないと懸念しています。そのため先方トップも本件を速やかに解決したいという思惑があるようです。そのため迅速な和解のために多少の条件緩和を引き出せる余地も残っているかもしれません。
いずれにせよ、とんでもねえ金が必要になるか。
その覚悟は必要です。そしてそれでも懲罰的賠償金よりははるかに安いかと。
ありがとう先生。また進展があったら連絡してください。先生は高級鳥だからヨタ話もできねえ。サンキューサンキュー。グッバイ。
Goodbye. Rudolph hung up the phone. The executives sitting in reception seats seemed to have guessed at the contents of that discussion.
聞こえたか野郎ども。まあそうじるとだ。金さえ積みや堪忍してやるぜってわけだ。あとは金の高だけを争点にすりゃいい。
しかし社長、渡辺氏の示した和解金の想定額はあまりにも膨大です。それだけの余裕はありません。
こんなことになるって分かってたら高くかなんて始めんじゃなかったぜ。
3年しのげれば資金的危機は脱出できる計算でした。まさかここで刺されるなんて本当についてない。
ホップステップジャンプのステップでこけちまったんだもんな。泣けるぜ。
メインバンクから金を引っ張るしかありません。
銀行はまずいな。連中は勝ち馬にしか金を出さん。景気は上向いてるが銀行に弱みは見せられねえ。
社長、母外に資金はありますか？
Well.
我々の把握していない資金です。
Well.
よせやい。俺がそういう男に見えるかよ。俺の財布の中身は全てお前らにさらしてるぜ。そこにある帳簿が我が社の全てだ。
なら金策が必要です。数百万ドル単位を引っ張れるスポンサーが大至急必要です。
社長の交友関係で何とかなりませんでしょうか。社長
ああ、落ち着けてめえら。金策は俺が何とかする。お前らはガタガタせずに業務を維持しろ。金さえ積めば向こうは許すと言ってるんだ。すでに俺たちはアジアに太いパイプを持ってる。いろいろ響くだろうが取引は維持できる。要は金さえ積めりゃ全て解決できる問題なんだ。見てろ、俺が全て解決する。お前らを路頭に迷わせなんかしねえぞ。大船に乗った気でいろい。無事に解決したらお前ら全員をシャンパンタワーでねぎらってやるぜ。約束する。だから黙って俺についてこい。いいな。
The airplane suddenly shook, probably due to turbulence. Rudolph was jostled awake. He'd woken early that morning and ended up drifting off to sleep while resting in his seat.
大丈夫？
He's just dreaming about how great he is.
まだだいぶ眠いんじゃないの？このところだいぶ仕事が忙しかったようだし。
仕事が忙しいなんて大いに結構じゃねえか。
Flashback via dream.
俺が暇になっちまったら俺たち明日から路頭に迷うぜ。
そうね。バトラ君も帰ってきたんだから二人で物乞いすればいいって問題じゃないわよ。
そうだな。6年ぶりに家族が揃ったんだからな。家族水入らずで過ごせるよう課長が頑張らねえとな。
When he looked out the window, he saw that the airplane had already started to drop in altitude considerably. Fishing boats, which had only looked like black grains a short while ago, were starting to become clearly recognizable.
親父に土下座してげんこつ一発で1000万借りられるなら 一ダースくらいもらっときてえところなんだがな。さもなきゃとっととお隠れになってくれりゃいいんだが。散々すねをかじって今度は遺産目当てか。俺は地獄行きだな。そりゃこんな俺に親父も会いたくはないだろうよ。
I liked Rudolph a lot in the first episode, just from the beginning, and I like him a lot now. Still, more.
まさか今年も親族会議にお出にならないつもりですかな。
Nanjo looked at Kinzo's face, sighing. Kinzo's eyes remained rooted to a strange book on magic.
ハゲタカどもの議論に加わるつもりはない。好きに我が骨のしゃぶり方でも議論するがよかろう。実にくだらぬ。
やれやれ、困ったものですな。
Nanjo shook his head slightly. To him, children and grandchildren were lovely things. He believed watching them grow was the only way to truly enjoy old age. Kinzo's words were very saddening to Nanjo.
この部屋を出るべき時が来れば私は姿を現す。あれが姿を未だ現さぬようにな。
Kinzo raised his face, his gaze pointed at the portrait of the witch, which was respectfully displayed on the wall. Kinzo's mind didn't dwell for a moment on the fact that today was the family conference, where all of his beloved relatives would gather. It was filled only by the face of the witch in the oil painting, who never smiled except inside the portrait. Everybody knew that interrupting Kinzo when he talked about Beatrice would trigger his wrath.
私は今日、ある儀式を執り行う。
それは何ですかな。
儀式というよりは博打に近い。なぜなら、リスクを負わぬ魔法に奇跡は宿らぬからだ。
Nanjo had heard Kinzo say this many times before. You might even call it a pet phrase of Kinzo's. Kinzo apparently believed that magic and miracles could occur if you gambled your fate with a certain amount of risk, and triumphed.
かつて黄金のギャンブラーと言われた金蔵さんがいつお迎えが来てもおかしくない。
The Golden Gambler? I was not aware of that title. Is that his color title? The Golden Gambler. Dude, why is it so easy to imagine Kinzo in the Limbus Company like sprite art style? Like, I can perfectly see a little like Kinzo battle sprite in Limbus Company. It's perfect in my brain. I can see it. The Golden Gambler. And also the guy who's so old he might just die. Thanks, Nanjo.
これは見物ですな。
なるほど。研究を尽くした秘術の儀式も魔法に長けぬお前にかかれば博打呼ばわりか。まあいい。奇跡を信じる私が勝てば、お前の目には水郷にしか見えなかったであろう我が研究のすべてがこの日に結実したことをはっきりと理解できるだろう。
But there are a surprising amount of Umineko characters that would look right in this city. I think there are Umineko mods for Ruina, of course, of course.
お前が勝てば、見たままの通り、いつ迎えが来てもおかしくない年寄りの水郷に終わるだけだ。
一体どんなギャンブルを始めるやら。
Yeah, what kind of gamble could you be planning to make?
あなたの友人としてその賭けに、いや、儀式でしたか。その儀式にあなたが勝てるよう心からお祈りするだけです。
感謝する。
そういえば金蔵さん、今年の親族会議には 懐かしい客がおられるそうですな。
何？
For once, Kinzo reacted to Nanjo's words and turned around.
ほら、ルドルフさんのところのバトラ君です。6年ぶりにおいでになるそうじゃありませんか。きっと立派になっていますよ。
なんだ、バトラか。6年ぶり程度の客人など懐かしいなどと呼びはせぬ。
After hearing Battler's name and making a disappointed and ill-humored expression, Kinzo turned his back again.
金蔵さんにとっての6年など、この部屋で研究に没頭すればあっという間のことでしょうからな。
本当に懐かしい客は、あるいは訪れるかもしれん。すべてはルーレットの出目次第だ。すでにルーレットは回り始めている。ルージュか、ノワールか。今宵、ルーレットがどんな奇跡を見せてくれるのか楽しませてもらおうではないか。配当は大きいぞ。そして負ける気はせぬ。ベアトリーチェよ、我が賭けを受けるがいい。
At that time, the telephone on the table rang. Piercing sound seemed to irritate Kinzo. He picked up the receiver to preserve the silence as much as he could.
何事か。私は忙しい。
現時でございます。親族の皆様方が到着。
だからどうしたというのだ。適当に茶でも出せばよい。
かしこまりました。そのようにいたします。
Just serve them some tea or something. Kinzo hung up the phone rudely. Looking at that, Nanjo sighed yet again and shifted his attention outside the window. As he is now, I doubt Kinzo would pay any heed to any sort of guest. Could any guest possibly make Kinzo come out when the time comes, as he said? Kinzo had a single person in mind. That was a guest who certainly wouldn't appear. Nanjo stared at the witch of the portrait with her impassive expression, unable to decide whether she was smiling or sad, then gazed up at the lead-colored sky. Oh! Ah! I do hope you enjoy your stay and also survive. Welcome back to Rokenjima. Oh, we're here! Okay. Wait a minute, that's right. It said all the pieces were in place at that one point. Okay, but is she talking? So are all the pieces in place? Shall I line them up all up again and start a new game? Who's talking to me? Oh shit. Oh, wait, and some good music too. Oh shit, it's time, dude. Oh, we got all the build-up we need. The witch looked at him challengingly while elegantly smoking her pipe. And Battler, he just rudely shrugged his shoulders as if he didn't care what she did. He didn't meet her eyes. That didn't mean he didn't intend to challenge her. It showed his clear determination to never be taken in by this bastard's tricks. It was an expression of his determination to fight.
まさか無策ではあるまいな。
お前の出方がわからねえ以上、策も何もねえぜ。好きに先手を取ればいいじゃねえか。
もちろんそうさせていただくぞ。お前の守りをいかに崩すか、なんてで詰めるか、わらわの腕の見せ所よ。
お前がどんな手で来ようが、俺はお前を信じない。その一点を俺が貫き通す限り、 俺に負けはない。ってことはだ、このゲームはお前に勝てないようにできてるぜ。
そうかもしれぬ。しかしな、ゲームを何度繰り返すかはわらわが決めるぞ。そしてわらわが勝ち、そなたが負けを認めるまで何度でも繰り返されるぞ。つまりこれは災難よ。そなたがわらわに屈服するまで続く永遠の災難。そなたがわらわを、魔女の存在を認めるまで永遠に続く。
なら俺もお前が根負けするまで何度でも無限に付き合ってやるぜ。意地の張り合いってやつでは負けた例がねえんだ。
どこぞの魔女にでも入れ知恵されたか。
ああ。
まあよい。
コタクは聞き飽きたぜ。さあ、おっ始めやがれ。
さあ、始めようではないか。そなたの指し手はすでに知り尽くしておる。手の内を知られた守りなどたかが知れておる。同じ手でしのぎきれると思うでないぞ。
ベアトリーチェ。
Oh shit。
一つだけ最初に言っておくことがある。
Lay it on her。
なんだ。
お前が何をのたまおうと自由だ。だが俺が信じるかどうか常に俺が自分で決める。貴様の魔法がどれほどのものだったとしても俺の魂は屈しない。これは俺への拷問だと。違うね。
ならば何だというのか。
これはお前への拷問なのさ。お前がいつ俺に屈し諦めるか。それまで繰り返される。
That music transition with the technology?
面白いかな、その例えやよし。互いを苛み合う拷問とは実に面白い。さーて始めようではないか。後ろ宮バトラ
ー。Yes, yes, we begin. The clock's back! Is it gonna rewind? Okay, I thought it was gonna like rewind. That was gonna be pretty exciting, but no, it doesn't need to rewind because it's already where it needs to be. But I was excited to see like. There's no gameplay in this game, Sid. Mind you, this only had music, sound effects, and crappy portraits to start, so he made them work. Yeah, true. Every year, the relatives visiting Rokenshima would let out a sigh of admiration at the rose garden that first greeted them. They would stop there to chat about the rose's beauty and how well they were blooming that year. In the midst of all this, there was a single unhealthy rose, and Maria became overwhelmed with dejection at its condition. But George used his quick wits and, saying that everything would be fine if they took care of this poor thing, marked it with a candy wrapper and immediately restored Maria's good mood. Then Battler, with whom she'd been getting along with well since that morning, started talking about Halloween. It was such a favorite topic of Maria's that she began playing around energetically again. To Maria, that marshmallow jack-o'-lantern candy bought by her mother was probably the greatest sort of treasure. They seemed to have bought several, and she demanded a trick-or-treat from every person she met, giving them candy instead of the other way around.
Maria はどうしてこんなにハロウィンが好きなんだろうな。
He called them sound novels. Ah, how fun.
日本人には一つ馴染みにくいイベントだと思ってたんだが。
仮装行列で練り歩く子供のお祭りだからじゃねえのか。普段と違う格好をしてはしゃぎ合うってのは楽しいぜ。
多分僕はもう少しディープな理由によるものだと思うな。何しろ魔女のマリアちゃんだからね。
そういや飛行場でもマリアは 仮装するなら魔女になりたいって言っていたっ
it'd be a Beatrice.
マリアって魔女が好きなんだ。
ええ、大好きよ。困ったくらいに。
まあまあ、あのくらいの年頃はファンタジックな存在に憧れるもんですから。
せめてテレビアニメのヒロインに憧れるくらいなら可愛いんだけど。
Judging by Rose's appearance, she wasn't very happy about her daughter's love for witches as a mother. The cousins, other than Battler, seemed to realize this, and they shrugged, wearing stiff smiles. Yep, a lot can be said in one hmm.
わかんなきゃ本人に聞けばいいか。おい、マリア、ハロウィンと魔女って何か関係あるのか？
As Battler asked that, George and Jessica let out a stifled ah, as if they were trying to stop him, but too late. Maria might have been waiting for just that question. After beaming for an instant, her expression turned a little mean, as if to say, "You're totally clueless, aren't you?" It was the face of a hobbyist who's been ticked off by an outsider saying something stupid about her favorite subject.
ケルト人は1年間を通じてその勢いを変える太陽は1年を通して生まれ育ち老いて死んでそして再び蘇ると考えていたの。
納得だな。春のか弱いポカポカした太陽が次第に痩せ衰えていく様をなるほど太陽の一生と考えるのもうなずけるぜ。
だから彼らは10月の最後に太陽は死に死の国で体を休めて冬至の日に再び蘇ると考えたの。それで太陽が1年の生涯を終えて死ぬその日を大晦日サビンと呼んでお祝いしたの。
Kinda fucking with this song, actually? Hold up. JRPG Forest music?
再び日照時間が長くなりだす冬至の日を太陽の復活の日とする考え方はとても面白いよね。古代の人々がいかに太陽を神聖視していたかがわかるエピソードだよ。
なるほどな。で、それが魔女とどう関係があるんだ？
It even has that like that's in a lot of old JRPGs, like right here. Oh no, right there, that sound. Actually, they're kind of fucking with it though. Kind of sick. It seemed that my casual urging forward had slightly infuriated Maria. She glared at me with eyes that told me to shut up while she explained. Maria seemed to be having a blast as she talked, so I decided not to interrupt.
10月と11月の狭間は生と死が最も近くなる。ケルト人たちはこの時期に聖者の世界と死者やこの世ならざる者の世界が最も近づき、異界の住人たちがたくさん訪れると信じてたの。日本でいうお盆みたいなものだよ。
Digizane, I've been hearing good things. I've been hearing good things. I plan to get to Monochrome Mobius after I finish this episode of Umineko. That's the current plan, at least. At the time, people believed that souls returning to the physical world would go into people's houses or possess people and do bad things. So, in order to avoid harm, they performed rituals. One of those was to imitate creepy monsters and scare the souls back, which was apparently a way to avoid being possessed.
その部分がお祭りになっていって仮装行列になってったんだな。
I actually already knew about this particular fun
マリアは
fact.
本当に物知りだぜ。
about Halloween's source.
ほんまやな。わしもハロウィンに備えな言われがあるなんて知らんかったわ。
しかしそれのどこにお菓子をくれなきゃいたずらしちゃうぞってのが出てくるんだ。
Her knowledge was so extensive that the adults had suddenly started listening in too. Maria, who was normally treated like the youngest all the time, puffed out her chest with pride. Saying that this was just a kids' discussion, Rosa suggested that the adults go on ahead and set their luggage down in the guest house. Nobody else agreed to go with her. She let out a heavy sigh. Oh. And the co-worker for information spreadsheet for collecting data on what everyone does. I also watched somebody else play the game for the cutscenes. I skipped all of them to finish quicker to start collecting data. Okay. Alright, whatever. Yeah, cool. Sure.
本来のケルト人たちの儀式とは何の関係もない。それは後にキリスト教の習慣が混合してできたものなの。でもマリアは本来のハロウィンの姿とはそうあるべきだと思うの。
According to Maria, the souls of the dead weren't the only ones who visited from the non-human world. There were also spirits with intimate connections to people's everyday lives. Humans could receive favors from those spirits, so they managed to gain magnificent blessings, as well as a year's worth of good crops.
つまりハロウィンってのは収穫祭の意味も少しはあったわけか。
なるほどな。言われてみりゃ10月ってのは季節的にもいろいろ節目って気がするぜ。日本の4月のちょうど反対側だもんな。なるほど。キリはいいかもしれねえな。
そしてね、魔女たちはね、その時期に魔女集会サバトを開いたの。魔女たちは豊かな恵みをもたらしてくれた精霊たちに感謝しねぎらったの。
ハロウィンの仮装は向こうから来る客人たちの模倣。つまり彼らにお菓子を施すのは1年の収穫への感謝の気持ちがあってもいいわけだね。
Is this song just insanely long? I feel like I haven't noticed the point where it fades out and then comes back in, because did they learn how to loop randomly? It's just really long. Okay. I'm just surprised. I'm like, oh, this is yeah. Cool.
つまりハロウィンはこの世とあの世の交流のある時期ってわけなんだな。それでつまり魔女たちにとってはそういう世界の客人たちと交流できる大切な機会だったと、そう言いたいわけか。
バトラの言う通りだからね。魔女たちや悪魔たちの力が最も活発で盛んになるのが10月なの。
Ah, okay.
きっとベアトリーチェも来てくれる。そしてね、一緒にマシュマロお菓子食べてマリアも黄金鏡に連れてってもらうの。一緒に魔法のお歌を歌って魔法の呪文を習って魔法陣の書き方を習うの。そしてね、ルーンの秘密を習って早くマリアを立派な魔女にしてもらうの。
あらあら、それは素
Isn't that
敵ね。
wonderful?
子供は夢があるのが一番よ。ところでローザ、マリアちゃんは今年でいくつになったんだったかしら？
マリア、もうそのお話は終わりにしなさい。
気にしないでローザさん。女の子なら誰だって一度は思い描く夢じゃない。
ありがとうございます。でももうマリアはそういう年を卒業していますので。
Has she?
ほら、やめなさいと言ってるでしょ。
Rosa scolded Maria, trying to shut her up before her cheery discussion about black magic earned her the snickers of the relatives.
へえ、そいつはなんだかスケールのでかい話だな。ところで、ベアトリーチェって誰だっけ？なんだっけ？聞いた名前だな。
Battler had been gone for 6 years, and had completely forgotten about the legend of the Rokenjima witch. However, when he said he didn't know Beatrice's name, Maria's once bright mood soured in an instant. When he saw that, Battler immediately remembered that it was the name of the witch on this island, but the damage had been done. Until Maria's mood improved, he went on and on about many mysterious and fabulous episodes regarding the Golden Witch.
もうよしなさいマリア。ありがとうねバトラ君、お話に付き合ってくれて。カノン君、お仕事があるんでしょ？もう行ってちょうだい。ゴーダさん、みんなとりあえず荷物を置きたがってると思うの。悪いんだけど、みんなをゲストハウスへ案内してくれるかしら。
かしこまりました。それでは皆様、ゲストハウスへご案内いたします。
それでは失礼いたします。
Yoda led the relatives, and they began to head towards the guest house. They were eager to set down their luggage and take a breather. They didn't realize that Rosa and Maria weren't coming with them. Rosa? 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 Come on. We already had some... Alright. After watching them leave towards the guest house, Rosa's face changed suddenly. He let go with the hand that had been gripping Maria this whole time. There was a bright red mark there, making it clear how much excessive force she had been using on Maria's slender arm. The hand then slapped against Maria's head, pinched her left ear, and lifted.
魔女の話はするなといつも言ってるでしょうが、それはママとの約束だといつも言っているでしょ。ママ痛い、ママ痛い。ハロウィンハロウィンうるさいのよあんたは。魔女のお祭り？ケルト人が何よ、黒魔術が何よ、バカじゃないの。
Everyone else thought it was cool.
あんた9歳よ9歳。電車であんなに騒ぐから、わざわざ電車降りてまでその蛍光塗料みたいな気持ち悪いお化けマシュマロを買ってやったのよ。遅刻してまであんたに買ってやったのよ。あんたどこまで私の顔を潰せば気が済むのよ。
As Rosa cursed, she twisted Maria's ears up, almost as though she was about to tear it off. An expression of anguish spread across Maria's face while she frantically stood on her tiptoes, trying to soften the pain in that ear. Rosa suddenly grabbed the candy that Maria had been holding. He threw it to the ground and stepped on it over and over. Maria, it was supposed to be proof of a memory, of a brief span of time when her mother had bought something fun for her. But now that same mother was grinding it into the ground right in front of her, as though a brand had been pushed into Maria's eyes, leaving a mark that could never be erased.
こんな気持ち悪いお菓子が何よ。気持ち悪い気持ち悪い。あんたがそんなんだから、あんたがそんなんだから。気持ち悪い気持ち悪い気持ち悪い。
As she said that, she struck Maria's head over and over again with her palm. It didn't hit Maria's face, because the red swelling would stand out. Maria closed her eyes tightly, patiently bearing her mother's violence. No, that wasn't quite it.
帰ってきてママ、帰ってきてママ。助けてママ、助けてママ。悪い魔女に打ち勝って。
She kept bearing Rosa's assault, muttering that over and over.
だからその魔女ってのをやめろつってんのよ。このから。
Rosa, tired from hitting her daughter, breathed so hard her shoulders shook. Maria grasped her hands together, withstanding it, hoping her mother would return soon.
ママ、ママ、早く帰ってきて。マリアを助けてよママ。悪い魔女をやっつけてよ。
いつまでもそこでそうしていなさい。そしてそこで魔女でもハロウィンでもいつまでもブツブツ一人で言ってればいいのよ。
After hurling those words at Maria, Rosa left in the direction of the guest house, leaving Maria behind. Maria, forgetting that even that it was okay to cry, kept staring down at the jack-o'-lantern candy that had been trampled beyond recognition. Yeesh.
あら、ローザ。
Maybe I think that Rosa's like a bad person. I don't know.
どこ行ってたの？
ごめんなさい。バラが素敵だったもので、ついつい。
ローザ、早く荷物を置いてこいよ。
What would make you say that? I'm sure she just misunderstood. Double personality disorder? No, I don't think so. But she definitely, like, works herself into that state and then comes down from it and, like, hates herself for it. So she's very aware she's doing it.
Anikiんとこへ挨拶に行こうぜ。
ん？マリアちゃんはどうしたんや？まだ花壇におるんかいな。
ええ、気に入ったバラがあるみたいで、世話をするって言って聞かなくて、しばらくは好きにさせることにしました。
女の子には女の子の世界があったことを、時には尊重してあげないとね。
Yeah, don't we have to respect that, Rosa?
そうね。お気遣いをありがとう、キリエ姉さん。ゴーダさん、私たちの部屋はどこ？
ご案内いたします。こちらでございます。お荷物をお持ちいたしましょう。
結構よ。自分で持てます。ありがとう。
Rosa went into her room, guided by Goda. She then closed the door somewhat violently and threw her luggage on top of the bed. She got down on her knees in front of the bed, burying her face in it. For a while, Rosa made as if to shred the sheets with her fingernails, sobbing constantly.
Maria-sama, 大丈夫ですか?
Cannon appeared from behind a thicket after watching Rosa leave. Dude loves, like, spying on people from behind bushes. Maria gave a creepy laugh, but to Cannon, who had seen the whole thing, it looked like she was enduring as best she could.
最低のやつだ。あれで母親なんて。
仕方ないよ。その程度の器にはその程度のが入り込む。マリアは全然平気だよ。
Cannon got down on his knees and picked up the trampled candy. It was tragic just looking at it. He thought about dusting it off and returning it to her. Really couldn't do so with it in that condition. Just as he was wondering what to do, he met Maria's gaze. No, that wasn't quite right. Maria was looking at the candy Cannon had picked up. Right now, Maria's heart was surely the same as the candy that had been trampled into a pulp. Cannon realized this, but didn't know what he should do.
そうだ。さっき僕がもらったのと交換してあげるよ。
Cannon remembered that a similar candy he'd received from Maria was in his pocket. Jesus Christ, I can talk, I promise. Stop. Maria stuck out her hand. Cannon thought she was trying to take it, So he held out the candy, but Maria didn't try to grasp it. Then Canon realized. He was saying give it back. No matter how tragic and trampled it was, this candy was Maria's. Her mother had bought it for her. No matter how tragic, it had to be this candy and no other. If only it were intact enough that it could be fixed by dusting it off. Canon hung his head.
僕には誇りを払う程度しかできない。ごめん。
Canon held out the miserable-looking candy Maria wanted. He took it and spoke.
ありがとう。人間には誇りしか払えないけど、魔女には元通りに直すことができるよ。ベアトリーチェなら簡単にね。
You know, hold on, I'm gonna let this play out because actually,
ベアトリーチェ
yeah.
様のことをご存知なのですか？
Except for Battler, there was no way anyone related to the Ushiromiya family could have failed to know Beatrice's name. But just now, Maria had bragged about Beatrice to Battler. He had spoken almost as though she was meeting with Beatrice regularly. Canon felt a sharp pain inside his left hand. It was curled into a fist. In the past, a witch called Beatrice had appeared to tempt him and Shannon. He'd always tried to think of it as a bad dream. However, Shannon insisted that it definitely was a real witch. And then, this summer, the shrine to the local Shinto god was hit by lightning, disappearing without a trace over the span of a single night. He knew about Shannon breaking that mirror. He remembered that, as the witch departed, he said she'd eventually be revived. And now, this girl who believed absolutely in Beatrice spoke as though she'd met Beatrice herself. Canon couldn't suppress a vague sense of foreboding welling up in his heart. For a while, Maria remained silent, so she could see into Canon's heart, almost as though she was waiting for a memory of Beatrice to be revived. And then she spoke, as though it was fact.
マリアはね、ベアトリーチェとお友達なの。今日だって会って一緒に遊ぶよ。
遊びますか？
うん、遊ぶよ。一緒にね、魔法のお勉強をするの。
So as I was saying, there's a lot of the two people that we are kind of thing in this game. People having two versions of themselves to deal with certain facets of their life. There's a whole lot of that in this game, in this story. A lot of it. I mean, even Battler, we already know that Battler is the type to be like really goofy and dumb and stuff, but inside he's a fucking thinker. Not the brightest on the block, but he's a thinker who can get pretty fucking serious when he needs to. But interesting how much this episode especially is highlighting that even more, though. And Rosa, again, was already someone who had that with her trying to be a good person, but then becoming a total garbage person, which that, I don't know if that's quite the same, but Maria seems to view it that way. Maria obviously has her vastly different personalities, her characters, of her versions of herself, and it's interesting. And then obviously the furniture. The face of that witch whom Canon had tried to pretend was a bad dream began to slowly creep into the back of his mind. Oh, I should have let that happen first before I started yapping.
お父様は研究で大変ご多忙と仰せです。残念ながらこちらへはおいでになれないとのことです。
やれやれ、こちとら秋の大忙しの中、日程をつけてはるばる六軒島まで来てるんだぜ。 親父も少しは愛想を良くしてもらいたいもんだぜ。
ほんとよね。南條先生、本当に研究や機嫌の問題なの？ベッドから起き上がれないくらいに容体が悪いって言うんじゃないの？
さて、どうでしょうかな。私の口からは何とも。
Nanjo glanced at Natsui. Seemed he thought it wasn't his place to speak without first getting Natsui's approval.
お父様はますますにご健康でいらっしゃいます。寝たきりなどと失礼極まりない。
でも余命3ヶ月なんでしょ？普通に考えれば痩せ衰えてベッドからも起きられないはずよ。でしょ、南條先生？
波の患者ならそうでしょうがな。金蔵さんは並外れた気力をお持ちです。あの気迫にお迎えも恐れて近寄れないのかもしれませんが。
それほどまでにお元気なら少なくとも安心ね。
そこまで元気ならせめて挨拶くらいはさせてほしいもんなんだがな。親族会議ってのは親父の顔を見に来たって意味なんだぜ。これじゃあ何のために来たのかわからねえぜ。
そう言うな。いればいたで心が休まらないといつもぼやくのだろうが。兄弟一同水入らずで今年も全員欠けることなく集まれたことを喜ぼうじゃないかね。
昨年の親族会議でも会えなかったのよ。血を分けた子供たちが2年ぶりに挨拶したいというのがどうして理解してもらえないのかしら。
挨拶の言葉があるのでしたら私どもがお伝えします。それともエヴァさん、何かお父様にお会いして挨拶以上のお話でもあられるのですか？
いやね、何の話よも
う。予算かエヴァ。夏井さん、堪忍な。エヴァも娘としてお父さんの病状が不安なだけなんや。ちょいと気持ちを汲み取ってな。
その通りだな。エヴァは親父殿が嫁を宣告されてから急に親孝行をするようになったじゃないか。なるほど。その姿をぜひ見てもらいたいという気持ちもわからなくない。
何が言いたいのよ。
よせよ姉貴。晩飯までには機嫌を直してくれるよう祈ろうじゃねえか。それに俺たちは到着したばかり。まずは軽く挨拶に訪れただけだぜ。親族会議は親父抜きだってできる。いや、兄弟で意見を統一してからじゃなきゃ話せねえことだっていろいろあるはずだぜ。な、秀吉兄さん。
そうや。ルドルフ君の言う通りや。わしらが全員顔を揃えるのは年に一度しかない。貴重な時間を大事にし、忌憚ない話し合いをせんといかん。
Even though the tea hadn't yet arrived, they were very determined.
でもその前に本家の素晴らしい調度品に囲まれた客間でのんびりと紅茶を楽しむゆとりがあってもいいんじゃないかしら。
Kyrie's words seemed to contain a subtle admonition. I've never seen that word. She's admonishing them. I've never seen it used. Admonition. Is that a real word? Admonishing them. Admonition. Whatever, sure. And everyone gathered there. They all understood, and as they cleared their throats and straightened their neckties, the atmosphere in the room returned to normal for a time.
失礼します。お茶をお持ちいたしました。
よー、シャノンちゃん。ますますべっぴんさんになったな。
Shannon entered the parlor, pushing the serving cart. Everyone decided to relax and enjoy some black tea for the time being. A wonderful aroma began to spread throughout the room. As far as anyone could see, the strained atmosphere from before Shannon's arrival seemed like a lie. Of course, Shannon, who was setting out the tea, probably didn't even notice. Kyrie seemed to laugh faintly at how adult everyone was suddenly acting. Rudolph didn't like it when Kyrie took the initiative and spoke at the family conference. It was his worthless male pride. Probably didn't want to look like a weak man who took advice from his wife. She understood that, and did her best to refrain from saying any more than was necessary. So she separated herself from the circle of siblings who only superficially appeared to be enjoying some time together alone, and casually drank her tea near the window.
あら、ローザさん。兄弟で水入らずなのでは？
ご冗談を。
ごめんなさい。気を悪くしないで。うちの夫に呆れてるだけだから。
Apparently, Rosa hadn't been able to keep up with that on-the-surface friendliness. They'd come here to fight bloodily and dirtily, each trying to grab a part of the inheritance for themselves. Probably didn't like suddenly pretending that they were all chummy. Or maybe she was still too immature for that.
だいぶ風が出てきているようですね。枝葉があんなに揺れて。
もう台風が近くまで来ているのでしょうね。今夜あたりからはだいぶ降るのかしら。
マリアちゃん、この1年で随分立派になりましたね。
そう見えます？未だに自分のお洋服を畳むことすらできないんですよ。
ええ。こんなにも愛情たっぷりなお母さんと一緒なんですもの。心の豊かな子に成長しますよ。
Oh yeah. You're right, Rosa. Rosa fell silent. Maybe she was unsure as to what Kyrie meant by that.
私なんて母親失格ですよ。子に生まれる親は選べない。あの子がかわいそうで。
お互い様じゃないですか。親だって生まれる子は選べない。
Rosa bit her lower lip.
どちらが悪いとかじゃなくて、一緒に生きていくんだという気持ちで、ゆっくり成長を見守ってあげればいいじゃないですか。ローザさんは毎日をマリアちゃんと過ごしてるから、小さな変化に気づかないかもしれないけれど、1年ぶりに再会した私たちには、その大きな成長ぶりがよくわかりますよ。
もし本気で言ってくれてるならありがとうございます。
それでは
Sorry, Shannon's yelling over you.
ご用がありましたらいつでもお呼びつけください。
Shannon bowed politely and left the room. As Hideyoshi and Rudolph, who had a soft spot for women, watched her go, the atmosphere in the room began to revert back to what it had been right before Shannon's visit.
お父様がいらっしゃられないなら、それはそれでできる話もあるというものよ。ねえ、ルドルフ。
ああ、そうだね。俺たちははるばるここまで埃の匂いがする紅茶を飲みに来たわけじゃねえぜ。
よかろう。一秒を争ってお前たちがしたいという話を聞こうじゃないか。
やれやれ。たくましい人たちね。早速始めたわ。
私も加わらないといけないわ。あの人たち。私が主張しないと4人兄弟であることをすぐ忘れるから。
あなたも大変ね。ちょっと言葉を選ばなかったかしら。ごめんなさい。
ううん。気にしてません。こちらこそごめんなさい。私たち互いに娘を持つ母親同士なんだから、もっと交流しなきゃいけないのに、いっつも会えば変な話ばかりで。
この屋敷の空気のせいよ。ここの空気を嗅ぐといっつも私たちはギスギスし合ってるもの。ローザさんとは親族会議じゃない席で一度ゆっくりお茶でも飲みたいわ。銀座に行きつけの素敵な喫茶店があるの。ぜひ今度招待させて。
ありがとう、キリエさん。その時はぜひ。
Everyone loves Kyrie.
いやね、急に空が暗くなってきたわ。まるでこの部屋の人たちが天気を悪くしてるみたい。もうゴロゴロ鳴ってるわ。 あら、ぽつりと来たかしら。
There really were small splashes of rain on the glass of the parlor window. The weather seemed to have worsened faster than expected. Just then, a silent thunderbolt struck inside Rosa's head. She remembered that her beloved child was out in the rose garden. A normal girl would try to go inside if the weather got bad. But Maria was different. She would sometimes get... Wait a minute. I've been allowing different scenes to happen, just thinking they were expanding upon things. But wait, this is different. This is objectively different. I've been allowing different scenes to happen because, understandably, maybe there were just some things we didn't see last time. All right, maybe they're just fleshing out more scenes. But this is objectively, there are new occurrences happening. This is no longer a maybe they're just showing me more details. These are different events. Wait a minute. I don't even... This is different events. Hold on. Wait, no, that's right. Yeah. Oh, fuck. That's right, I told that child to just stay there doing that forever, didn't I? Everyone looked back at Rosa when she let out a small scream.
なんだ、どうしたんだね。
ごめんなさい。ちょっと表に行ってきます。すぐ戻ります。
なんだなんだ。どうしたってんだ、あいつ。
いいじゃない。すぐ戻るわよ。それより始めたら？私たちの本題。
そうね。ローザ抜きでも進められる話よ。
Wait, no. Wait, this is so different. Wait, is the typhoon starting sooner? The typhoon, it's just starting sooner.
話を戻しましょう。
The storm is just hitting sooner. Well, it's hitting sooner, and different happenings are happening. Unless did they get? Wait, no. Did they get there later? Wait a minute. Did they technically get here later in the day? Was Rosa even late the first time? I don't even remember if Rosa was late the first time, because I don't remember if they said that or not. And this time specifically, their plane got delayed, so and Rosa made it on time because the plane got delayed. But I don't remember if Rosa was late the first time, so maybe they're just late, and it's actually all happening at the normal time. But because of the other... Rosa dashed from the entrance hall into the rose garden. When she opened the door, the wind that hit her was too strong to be called a light breeze, and told her that the typhoon was approaching faster than she thought. She was last to arrive, but I don't think anyone mentioned that she would have missed the plane, like they did this time. Just as Kyrie had said, the wind was mixed in with small droplets of rain. There was also a low rumble of thunder. It could start raining any time. Rosa headed for the rose garden. She headed for the place where she had scolded Maria a short while ago. It was almost lunchtime. Children had been told to come to the mansion around lunchtime. They were probably in the guest house waiting to be called. Yeah. But... Oh, this is different. Even if Maria didn't come to them, they would surely think I took her to the mansion with me and wouldn't worry much. After all, she had been with her mother, so there should have been no reason to worry. I was here, and I abandoned my daughter to the worsening weather. Maria! Cannon also informed everybody about her being out there, so... I was right. She was still standing stock still, exactly the same way she had been in the place where I had scolded her. Yeah, but no, last time she actually... I think she actually even went to the... Held in her hand was the candy that I'd bought, given her, and then stepped on and crushed. That gripped in her hand, she stood there as the powerful winds whipped her hair about, tormenting her. She was not even worried about the flower. Yeah, she had an umbrella last time she was looking for the flower. She wasn't even, like, sad. She was just looking for the flower with an umbrella. Well, she was still sad because she wanted to find the flower as well, but she had an umbrella because Beatrice gave her an umbrella. And also the letter. Now she's fucked.
ママ、おかえり。マリア、ママが帰ってくるの、ずっと待ってた。怖い魔女につねられたけど、我慢して、ママが帰ってくるの、泣かずに待ってた。
Sorry.
マリア、ママを許して。ママを許して。
ママは悪くないの。また悪い魔女に取りつかれただけなの。だから平気。ママ大好き。
Oh, I feel so bad.
愛してる。
Oh, gosh. Rosa, you need to fucking fix your shit. Your child is fucked up and it's probably mostly your fault. No. You're definitely not helping the situation. Rosa buried her face in Maria's small chest, crying and begging forgiveness. And once again, those tears dripped down after who knows how many times. Only the brilliant sun had been shining on the two of them. All of their cares would have evaporated, and it might have felt like they could begin anew. However, what surrounded the two of them was the worsening weather. Sadly, there were only fierce winds with occasional thunder. The sound of Maria sniffling brought Rosa to her senses. Maria stood exposed to the wind for too long, she'd probably catch a cold.
さあ、マリア、もうすぐお昼よ。ママと一緒にお屋敷に行きましょう。
行かない。
どうして？
Rosa thought she'd already received Maria's forgiveness, so she hadn't imagined Maria would refuse. That expression on Maria's face didn't look like that of a child resisting her mother. So Rosa couldn't understand why Maria wanted to stand still pointlessly as the weather grew even worse. Maria answered that question.
ベアトリーチェがね、もうすぐ来るの。だから待ってるの。
マリア。
Rosa struggled to find words for a moment, then fell silent. They'd only just managed to wake up after all, so she chose her words carefully, trying to get Maria to come with her to the mansion without denying the witch outright.
ベアトリーチェが来るの？
She's gonna bring an umbrella and a letter.
そう。なら、ここじゃなくて、お屋敷の中で待ちましょう。いつまでもこんな風の中にいたら風邪をひいてしまうわ。
来る！ベアトリーチェは来る！そしたらね、ベアトリーチェにね、お菓子あげるの。トリックアトリートするの。ジャック・オーランタンのマシュマロお菓子あげて、ハッピーハロウィーンって言うの。
Happy Halloween! Maria pulled yet another sweet out of her handbag, moaning, ooh, ooh. Rosa was bewildered and didn't know what to do. Maria started being difficult again. At that time, there was a sudden blast of thunder. It was probably a sign that this island had been sealed off by the storm, detached from common sense and reality. So after this moment, all common sense would probably cease to apply. The wind blew even stronger, and amidst that blizzard of scattered rose petals, a figure appeared, leaving Rosa unable to imagine that this was a scene from reality. It was probably, no, definitely fantastical. After all, that shadow of a person was. What the fuck are you wearing? What are you trick-or-treating as like a schoolgirl? What are you wearing? She's all dressed up. Is she trick-or-treating? Maria dashed over to the shadow. Normally, Rosa would scold her daughter if she dashed over to someone whom she hadn't seen before and didn't know. Rosa forgot to do that, was unable to do anything but stand there stunned.
久しぶりよ。元気であったか?
The schoolgirl Beatrice reveal was not... I was not ready for it, I'll be honest.
マリアは元気。魔女は風邪をひかない。
魔女は呪いにて風邪をひかせはするが、自らがひいてはなんとも間抜けな話よ。せいぜい自らが風邪をひくことなどないよ。これからも精進するがいい。
She patted Maria's head as she said this, smiling roguishly. Rosa couldn't have known the name of the woman who was happily spoiling Maria. However, Maria had called it out in the beginning when the woman appeared. So even though Rosa had never met her, even though the woman still hadn't introduced herself, Rosa was able to know her name. However, that name held a special meaning on Rokunjima and in the Ushiromiya family. There's no way something that stupid could be...
ベアトリーチェ、ハッピーハロウィン。ほら、買ったの。ベアトにもあげる。
うん、ハッピーハロウィン。
Happy Halloween.
これをわらわにとな。天国にも地獄にも行けず、煉獄の闇にてさまよう男の唯一の明かりも。こうして歌詞となれば実
Yeah,
に可
dude,
愛らしい
it's a pumpkin, but yeah, cool.
人の世とも、人ならざる者との世とも切り離された今のこの島で、これほどふさわしい歌詞はないかもしれぬな。ん？マリア、それはどうしたのか?
The witch noticed the sweet Maria was grasping. It was Maria's candy, which had been stomped on by Rosa until it reached this pitiful state.
おお、踏んづけて潰れちゃった。ベアトは元に戻せる？
Maria didn't go so far as to say that it was her mother who'd stepped on it. However, for some reason, when the witch saw that candy, she looked at Rosa and grinned. A chill went down Rosa's spine, as though this gaze was staring straight through her.
たやすいことよ。貸すがよい。
Maria held the candy out gleefully. Rosa could do nothing but watch, stunned. How did this person plan to trick Maria, somehow undoing the fact that the candy had been pitifully trampled? Maria looked as though she believed it could be fixed good as new. Without real magic, there was no way such a thing could be possible.
これは見事に潰れている。
Explain this, Battler.
さあさあマリア、目を閉じて思い出してごらんなさい。本当はあんなにも素敵なお菓子だったから、思い出の中のお菓子はいつもふっくら。だからあなたも思い出してごらんなさい。本当はどんなお菓子だったのか。
Along with those strange words spoken as though singing an improvised folk song, the witch threw the sweet into the air. Maria was closing her eyes and remembering, just as the witch had told her to. What shape had that crushed candy really had? Therefore, only Rosa saw that scene. The sweet that had been thrown into the air burst into a gold color. No, that wasn't it. Those were golden butterflies. It scattered into several golden butterflies, and they began to gather at the witch's hand, which was held up to the sky. As she did this, unbelievably, returned to its beautiful original form, no different from when it had been bought. Only Rosa and the witch witnessed that scene. Unable to comprehend what was occurring right before her eyes, Rosa stood with her mouth hanging open, completely forgetting to shut it.
もう目を開けてよいぞ。受け取るがよい。これでそなたの歌詞も元通りだ。
ベアトリーチェはいつもすごい。
Mere sleight of hand. There was a stark contrast between Rosa's shock and Maria's innocent joy. Hello, Salty. Was that what the witch was laughing at? A smile floated to Beatrice's face, one different from the smile she'd shown Maria.
わらわの顔がそうまじまじと見られては穴も開こうぞ。
What's up? I'm just, umiing my neko till the seagulls cry.
ごめんなさい。
Those words triggered something very clearly in Rosa's mind. Rosa knew this face. She knew it from the portrait of the witch. But no, wait. Could this mystery woman really be?
マリア、この歌詞の代わりに、そなたにはこれを与えよう。
Oh!
手紙？
The letter! The witch pulled a Western envelope from her pocket and gave it to Maria. However, when Maria made to open it, the witch stopped her.
ならぬ。それを開けるときはすぐに訪れるが、それまで決して開けてはならぬ。大事に持っているがよい。そなたを黄金鏡へいざなう招待状となろう。
黄金鏡、やっと連れてってくれるんだね。
大事にしまっておくのだぞ。誰にも見せてはならぬ。
守る。魔女との約束は絶対に守る。
そしてこれは
I'm sorry.
私。
She probably hadn't imagined that the witch would speak to her too. Rosa was bewildered by the second Western envelope, which was thrust before her. Me too. She'd seen this type of envelope before. There could be no mistake. It was one of Kinzo's special envelopes, used when he wrote with his own hand and bearing the Ushiromiya family crest. It was sealed with red sealing wax, and furthermore, it had a mark that seemed to have been made by the head's ring. In other words, even without asking what was inside this letter, Rosa knew that this woman, whom Maria called Beatrice, was trusted enough to be placed in charge of a personal letter of the current Oshiromiya head.
4兄弟の誰でもよかった。だが、ここでそなたと出会ったということは、金蔵のルーレットがそなたを選んだということなのだろう。ならば受け取るがよい。そしてその中身を、全兄弟の揃う晩餐の席上で読み上げよ。
なんですって。
Rosa looked back and forth several times between the witch's face and the envelope that had been handed to her. Today was the family conference, and the biggest object of discussion would be the inheritance problem. She had joined together with Ava and Rudolph. They planned to force a certain condition on Kraus to try and extort several 100 million yen in cash out of him. It was as if the witch could see through all of that. What does she intend to announce when all of us siblings are gathered? With a personal envelope that no one but the Ushiromiya head can use.
マリア、天気が崩れるぞ。ゲストハウスへ戻り、昼を待つがよい。
I'm pretty hungry myself.
それではローザ、後ほど会おう。その席で改めて名乗らせてもらおうぞ。
The witch turned her back to her, laughing. Then she began to head towards the mansion with an air of composure. Maria energetically called out and watched her go, and began to dash towards the guest house, leaving Rosa behind, as though she wanted to inform the other cousins of her fortunate meeting with the witch as soon as she could. At last, Rosa was left alone in the rose garden as the winds grew stronger, unable to do anything but pray that what had happened was just a daydream. When the witch reached the entrance hall, Genji could be seen there. Genji welcomed the guest approaching from the entrance hall with a respectful bow.
お待ちいたしておりました。ベアトリーチェ様。
Schoolgirl Beatrice added to the thing? She has a cane? Dude, why is she rocking it though? Okay. Mysterious visitor and 19th person who appeared on the day of the family conference. She goes by the same name as the Golden Witch who gave the gold to Kinzo. Her reasons for visiting are unknown. She was ushered into the VIP room, which no one had been allowed to use in the past. Hey! Spoiler! I didn't know that yet!
I
didn't know she was going to be ushered into the VIP room. Yeah, Genji's wide awake right now.
最後までお務めを果たすのみでございます。
晴れの妻がお前に嫉妬したことも懐かしい。金蔵は元気か？
大変お元気にございます。
The witch probably laughed because she knew Kinzo's own doctor had announced that Kinzo didn't have long to live. However, if anyone actually looked at Kinzo and noticed his vigor, which wasn't at all what you'd expect from someone nearing the end of his life, you might easily call that doing extremely well. Maybe that's what the witch was laughing at.
挨拶に行こうではないか。30年ぶりに互いに呪いの言葉を吐き合うもよかろう。
As the witch grinned, she started walking, leaving Genji behind. Her gait was like that of a family member who knew the inside of the mansion well. Genji followed her in the manner of one who served her. At that time, Kyrie came out of the parlor. She'd probably gone out to fix her makeup or something. And when she saw Genji following a witch, she was surprised, although her expression did not change. What do you mean? What do you mean her expression did not change? Also, what do you mean when she saw Genji following a witch? What do you mean when she saw Genji following a witch, she was surprised, although her expression did not change? What do you mean by that? A guest for Kinzo had arrived, despite him being almost dead, on the day of the family conference when the fate of the inheritance was to be decided. And furthermore, this person was familiar enough with the Ushiromiya family household that Genji was following behind her. Kyrie immediately realized that this person she had never met before was deeply important. Kyrie and the witch's eyes met. Realizing that it would be rude to pretend not to notice, she greeted the witch.
はじめまして。
ルドルフの5歳だったか。
さようでございます。
This is crazy. They're just yapping, bro.
ルドルフ様の今の奥方様であられます。キリエ様でございます。
From this exchange, Kyrie realized that this was a guest of fairly high rank, even amidst the Ushiromiya family. And the fact this was a guest on that level, coupled with her resemblance to the portrait in the entrance hall, made Kyrie's eyes instantly open wide. There you go! She gets it now. She didn't notice from afar. Damn, she got a new fucking sassy thing?
はじめまして、キリエと申します。初対面でしょうか。もし以前に挨拶をしていたなら、名前を忘れてしまって申し訳ございません。
うすうすは想像がついているくせに、わらわにあえて名乗らそうというのか。
Kyrie thought she'd given a sociable and humble greeting. Her expression grew slightly cloudy at that openly oppressive response. At any rate, this didn't seem to be a person she could grow to like. But if Kyrie's guesses were correct, this witch probably held a vital key to what her own husband was most interested in. Something that couldn't help but influence tonight's family conference. So without shooting back a retort, Kirie silently watched her go up the stairs to the second floor, with Genji following behind. Bro, we are on a different dimensional space. We have two human beings who were shedded, who have now just chatted with her. So when someone tapped her shoulder from behind, she was so surprised she almost choked. It was Natsui.
キリエさん、このようなところに立ち尽くして。
Nah, dude, change it to the funny, fucking sassy schoolgirl one.
いかがなさいましたか？
ごめんなさい。ちょっと魔女の肖像画に見とれていただけです。
黄金の魔
She's
女、ベアトリーチェですか。
Beatrice is like, she's having a whole load of fun.
今日の後宮家の復興は、彼女が授けた黄金がなければ成し遂げられなかったとか。お父様らしい幻想的なお話ですね。
Natsui spoke in a perfectly ordinary way. It was the sort of comment you'd expect from someone convinced that the thought of a witch existing was ridiculous, no more than another of Kinzo's ramblings. However, for some reason, that point of view didn't seem quite right to Kirie now. Just a moment ago, she herself had seen the Golden Witch come in from the entrance hall and climb up the stairs. So Natsui's words made it feel as though someone was trying to deny the existence of that person, or else make it seem like she was never there to begin with.
ごめんなさい。少し頭痛がする気がして、ちょっと休もうと思います。
あら、そうですか。なら、良い頭痛薬がありますよ。
Natsui thrilled. Someone has a headache. She has the solution.
用意させましょう。
Oh shit. This next scene is probably going to be pretty fucking awesome. I just have a strong inkling. Which is why it would be the perfect scene to start on next time. Because as I said, you know, short stream, I'm hungry. I'm like actually really hungry. My stomach keeps like grumbling like an anime character. And I have more stuff to play at the same time. Now, I am planning... What did Bonnie send me? Is it... Ah, okay. I can see why you couldn't send me a song. Why is this one from a channel called Jenny McLesbian? Are these like better uploads? I guess this is another song though. Well, great. More song. Which one is this? Which song is this? Which song is this in particular? I will paste and go. Ah, I see. Okay, great. Awesome. Thank you. Start next stream with that probably. Oh, great, more songs. All right, here's some of all the good ones I've heard so far. Lovely. I was gonna ask you about some of those. All right, great. I will do more of this. Maybe tomorrow night. He has the better uploads. Awesome, because I know that the uploads that people usually post sadly have a noticeably slightly lower overall audio quality in my opinion. But whatever we need to do. Thank you, McLesbian. Tomorrow I would like to stream more of this, but I might not if I get home and I'm ready to watch some stream content, because there are a lot of streams I watch on Sunday nights. So if I don't do it tomorrow, definitely a longer stream on Monday, since, you know, day off and all that. What stuff to play? Stone Machia, only the game of the year. Stone Machia, of course. And then because the quality is a bit better and the thumbnails are episode relative, so you can tell what they are. Ah, that's nice. But also not nice, because it means that there's always the risk of, like, I'm not allowed to see it until a new thing. Never heard of it? Yeah, it's because it just came out. And it's like an obscure, weird Italian indie game that I think is brilliant and should be played by all. I'm going to continue playing it. Full songs till you get deep enough. I appreciate it. Well, thanks for hanging out, everybody. This was a good stream. This was, I mean, honestly, all of these episode 2 streams have been good for varying reasons, but a lot of just great character stuff. And now, now, like, I was kind of like, things feel a bit different, but I'm not 100%. But once, like, we finally hit the point where, like, okay, Rosa needs to go get Maria now, and I realized exactly, like, the timing of it and everything. I'm like, once it truly clicked that no, we are just doing things differently now. Things are happening in a different way now. It's like, oh shit. And now, like, after that, like, it was subtle before then, and then once you have that, like, a moment of, oh, things are definitely happening differently now, it's like perfectly timed. That's when Beatrice just shows up with her fucking goofy outfit and her cane, and she's like, hello everybody, it's me. I'm just gonna walk around now. Walking in and just being like, hey Genji, take me to the boss, man. It's so sick. Yeah. Yeah, this is pretty rad. Yeah. Riveting. Alright, I'm out of here though. Thanks for hanging, everybody. Keep an eye out for more Umineko. And here is Dunban.
That's Dunban over there!